Hey guys, what's up? This is Marcus Grant here. Before I do anything else, I want to thank you for your interest in this video and for your support on YouTube. It really does mean a lot to me. I wanted to address something real quickly, and I thought this was a great opportunity to do it. A lot of us as composers and arrangers, we get asked similar questions very often. What is your process of writing a piece? Do you start with the music first? Is there any research involved? How do you devise the melodies? How do you devise the chord structures? And the answer is that it is different every time. There's no particular process that happens every single time that a composer sits in front of a blank score and starts writing. And a lot of it depends on very many different factors. Is there a professional ensemble you're working with? Is it a student ensemble that you're working with? What's the instrumentation? What's the nature of the piece itself? There are a lot of different factors that go into it. So today I'm going to give you one example of the very beginning stages of an arrangement that I'm working on, and hopefully it'll illuminate some of the concepts of what is one of the ways that composers and arrangers go about composing and arranging the way that they do. So, in my case, I'm doing an arrangement of a pre-existing piece called Grand Russian Fantasia. It is a trumpet solo, and so the cool thing about this is that after I get past this intro, everything in the solo trumpet part is already written because it's the solo trumpet part. And so I'll be able to use that as a basis. But right now, you see me right here writing drafts of a very hollow instrumentation of what I want the intro to sound like. Now, typically speaking, when I start a piece of music, whether it is a composition or a transcription or an arrangement, I start with what I feel most strongly about, what is most clear in my head or in my ears, and I write that down first. In this particular case, I have the melody and a couple of embellishing lines, okay? And I sort of made myself stop here for the sake of showing you what this looks like. If you ever see this full arrangement in performance, then you'll know that there's a lot of development that happens between now and then. But you got to start somewhere. This melody is a melody that I constructed on my own for the case of this intro, and so it's an originally composed melody inside of an arrangement. Okay, so we're going to play this just so you can hear what this sounds like. And you should be able to hear that the melody actually kind of weaves in and out with one another. If I were to put it on the same instrument, it should work technically fine. But in my case, as a composer and arranger, I like to spread the melodic lines across instruments, especially in a professional ensemble in this case. So let's take a listen. So you have the melody in trumpet 1, goes down to the horns. As we said, it goes back up to the trumpet 1, and 6th in trumpet 1 for the remainder of this phrase. We have a counter melody going on in the horns to accentuate what's going on here. Then we have the melody in trumpets 2 and 3 with some embellishments. Then it goes down to the bass lines. Then it comes back up to the trumpet, and the trumpet closes out the melody. So that's what I have there. Hopefully that makes sense. And now the rest of the stuff here is stuff that I also felt strongly about in my mind that I've thought should be there. And these are embellishments, answers to the melody, counter lines like the one I pointed out, and the horn right here. Now, there's a trend to this that typically works very well, and it is that when you do stuff like this, that either one of two things happens. One, the important answering, countering line that takes place at a time where the melody is stagnant. You see the trumpet here has a dotted half note. There's nothing going on. That allows for the window of opportunity for the trombone and the euphonium to have that 16th note action that we have here. This entire thing progresses so that there's a lot of activity going on, but you still are able to have a clear melody that is existent and there's no trouble finding where that melody is. The second thing is when you add things that are happening simultaneously with the melody, but as I said before, they accentuate in some way what the melody is doing. In this case, there is I've got a cross rhythm of sorts happening between the horn and the trumpet in order to accentuate the rhythm that's going on in the trumpet. So the melody, key phrase, the melody is the most important part of any given piece 99% of the time. And so what you do is to accent the melody or to enhance the melody or to answer to the melody. And so that is what this looks like. So we're going to listen to this now that you know that. We're going to listen to it again. And then I'll talk about what I would do in the future. And hopefully this will help. This is mostly melody in the beginning, of course. Now we start to have the action here. Then we start to have it again here, and here, and here. So it starts to get busier the second time the melody comes in. Short counter melody answer here in the horns. Okay, so hopefully what I said just made sense. It wasn't the most elegant, but hopefully it was clear. So that's typically how I approach, and again, this is an example of something that I would do, whether it's a transcription or whether it's an arrangement or whether it is a original composition. I use this format a lot when I write music, but from that point forward, from now, we'll fill in the blanks like puzzle pieces as chord structures with rhythms that either support or accentuate what's going on with what has already been written. And perhaps I'll be able to show you that in the future once I do that. When we have these lines that happen here, these arpeggiated lines, they're not just written, randomly. They're written with regards to the chords that I'm planning on putting underneath when we fill in the rest of the lines underneath these lines. Okay, so this is a particular chord structure that all of these notes will be voiced with all of these lines that currently have nothing in them. They'll be voicing those chords. So it avoids clashes and stuff like that, clashes with chords and rhythms that go underneath. So it's important when you are looking through, and I hope I'm explaining this in a way that is understandable. It's important when you go through and you put these lines in that you're very cognizant of what kind of chord structure and what kind of texture is going on underneath. And when you eventually put that structure down, it won't conflict with what you have here and what you have here and what you have here, because you've already thought ahead of that chord structure. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. If you have any questions, please let me know. It is my plan to do short videos like this to give a short inside look more often. And this particular piece, I'm hoping to perform sometime in the next couple of months. So hopefully there'll be a live recording of this so you'll be able to listen to it. And other than that, I hope that you enjoyed this, and I will see you guys next time.